views expressed on this program are those of the hosts, guests, and callers, and are not necessarily those of this station, its management, or other advertisers. You're listening to Transformation Talk Radio.
Hi, welcome. This is Dr. John DeMartini. This is one of the most amazing and inspiring shows that you can listen into. If you want to be on the edge of your seats, if you want to open up your heart, if you want to expand your mind, and you want to meet incredible people, stay tuned because you're just about to experience a transformative radio show that will change your life. And you're listening to the Dr. Pat Show that's coming up right next.
Welcome to the Dr. Pat Show. Talk radio to thrive by. Powerful, inspiring, and coming to you live, bringing you stories of people like you and me, busting through and living life full out. Get ready to dare to wonder what your life would be like if you knew you could not fail.
Hey everybody, this is Dr. Pat. I am here with my friend, my buddy, my colleague, Katia Defani, and we are at Urban Wellness. Now, look, this is exciting what we get to do. I personally get to come here and I spend time with Katia, and what we do is we decide from the many things that are here. Actually, Katia helps me decide because there's absolutely nothing that I can really do about putting things together. But this is exciting because we're so learning now about what herbs mean, what oils mean, how they can heal. We're going back to the time when, you know what, this is what actually existed. Today, this is a live show here so that you can see what all of us get to experience, how you can come in and get things custom made for yourself or for others. And as a matter of fact, we were just talking about what Jessica put together for her mom. Katia, thank you for today. This is exciting. Now tell everybody what you're getting ready to do.
Yeah.
Because we wanted to catch you doing something specific for a client, and I'm looking at this myself. I'm excited. What are you putting together? And
well, first
great
of all,
to
thank
have
you for being here and having me on your show.
Yeah.
As always, I always appreciate it. So I was actually just about to blend a tea for a customer of mine, and basically, you know, she is experiencing some water retention, puffiness in her hands, dark circles under her eyes. So she's having some health issues. She's seeing a naturopath and all that and getting a lot of support for a lot of her different organs, like her thyroid and her adrenals, but that part is still problematic, and she's just carrying weight. So
okay, make 2 batches of this one. Maybe 3, right, Jess? Yeah.
Well, I'm more, it's like all of that to me sounds like there's something going on with her kidneys. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And something going on with her lymphatic system, possibly. So I just thought that the first way to start would be to give her a really nourishing tea for her kidneys and for her lymphatic system, also providing some hormone balancing because she's also having some issues in that arena as well. So altogether, I think this should be a very gently detoxifying tea for her kidneys and her lymphatic system, but very nourishing and supportive, and that's the main.
And I'm serious. Please make some for me, too, because I've been like, okay, she must have been like reading my thing here before I came in.
Oh, wow.
But I think it's something really important, though, for people to know that, wait a minute, this is what's going on with me. Can you help? Now, I want to ask you before you get started.
Yeah.
You touched upon something I did a show on the other day about the thyroid. If somebody has got thyroid issues or maybe some nodules or something, is there a tea or a remedy you can put together for something like that as well?
There are definitely things that are supportive. Usually in those cases, I definitely encourage someone to be in contact with a primary care provider, whether it's a naturopath or an MD, because there's a lot of delicate stuff that can go on there.
Absolutely.
However, there are
They are.
Yes. So there are herbs that can definitely nourish the thyroid gland, but also detoxify it.
Okay.
And even topically doing castor oil packs can be really helpful for nodules over the thyroid.
Okay.
So applying castor oil topically to the throat area and doing that a couple of times a day, and ideally applying some heat, is one thing that I've had customers tell me has worked well for them.
Great.
Yeah, so it helps detoxify the thyroid gland directly. But by supporting that whole hypothalamus, pituitary, thyroid, adrenal axis, you can really allow some movement too.
Oh, good. So we're going to get that tea too today and a few other things. So yeah, tell us what you're making here. How exciting.
So I am going to do a blend first of these 5 herbs, and I'll describe them as I'm going through them quickly. But these are all meant to be decocted. So 2 different ways you can prepare teas. With roots, like this, shatavari, which is an herb from India. And this root is very good for balancing hormones and also supporting adrenal health in women. It's shatavari apparently means woman with 1,000 husbands. I've also heard the variation where women who can tolerate 1,000 husbands.
Yes.
So it's very strengthening and fortifying for women, but also really regulating to their cycles.
Yeah.
Good for PMS, perimenopause, menopause, fertility. Really amazing herb. And the more I've worked with it, the more I've really seen the benefit.
Yeah. And I have a friend that actually says that that is also for women who have husbands that think they are 1,000 husbands.
That's awesome. That's
a
probably
good one.
very true, too.
Yeah.
So this one, because it's a root, it really doesn't come out well if you just steep it in hot water like a regular tea.
Oh, okay.
So people think of tea, put some herbs in a pot or a cup or a mug and pour hot water over it and let it sit. Well, that's great when it comes to things like the upper parts of a plant, the soft parts, like this is cleavers and this is calendula, flowers. That works great. And then you steep them for like 10 to 15 minutes, which is kind of your typical medicinal steeping time. But for something like this, you want to simmer it. And in Chinese medicine, they call it decoction. So you bring water to a boil, reduce the heat, add your herbs, and let them cook. I describe it as like cooking it like a grain, right? Like what you would do with quinoa. You bring the water to a boil, reduce the heat, add the grain, let it simmer for 15, 20 minutes, and then you turn off the heat. Then you can add your leaves and flowers and let it all steep together. That's the ideal way. Sometimes that's not realistic for people. You know, sometimes I'll put them all together and just tell them to steep it a really long time because they're not going to boil it first.
Right, okay. But if you ideally, what you would do is boil it.
So I'm going to do this separately.
And maybe we can get a close-up shot of the herbs in here once
once I
put them in.
get them in here, you can take a
Because
look at
that's
them.
like super fun to see that.
Yeah. So what I'm going to do is create one blend that's all roots and hard parts of plants, and then I'm going to do one blend that's the leaves and flowers, and then I'm going to give them in 2 separate packets to my customer and have her simmer this one, then add the other ones and let it all steep.
Perfect.
She said she's totally on board for doing whatever tea, so hopefully she thinks this is a good idea. I'm
It
realizing,
looks great to me.
Yeah. So I'm just going to start adding the herbs one at a time, and I'll describe a little bit. We just talked about shatavari. The main reason it's in there is hormone balancing and adrenal support. So I'm making her about a month's supply of tea. So I'm going to do a couple ounces of shatavari. And this part of figuring out how much is kind of up to the individual herbalist and practitioner, like what they're kind of feeling is important. But usually we choose some herbs that are kind of the primaries and the leads, and then we go from there, and then we choose others that are more supportive. The next one I'm doing wild yam root. So wild yam, you can see it's these big chunks of root if you're watching on video, is very good also for balancing female hormones. It's also a relaxant and antispasmodic for smooth muscle, so it can really be useful for uterine cramping or bladder irritability, even intestinal cramping and things like that. But primarily what I'm using this for is it contains steroidal saponins, which are precursors to our hormones. And so it can provide the building blocks when someone is deficient in certain hormones, if that makes sense. And then the next herb I'm going to add, these are these little hard berries. It's called Vitex or chaste tree berry. And it's this very aromatic, almost resinous berry. It's not like a sweet berry that you'd think of. And this one's one of the top herbs for balancing hormones also. It really acts on the pituitary ovarian axis and can really regulate women's hormones. So this one's one I almost always put in a formula for women who are going through, have PMS symptoms, excessive bleeding, fertility, who want to regulate their cycle and have more regular ovulation as well. And so I'm putting that one in here. As a supportive herb. This and shatavari are my 2 leads in this case. I'm going to pull that one aside. We added that one. Write down what I put in, otherwise I forget. And then we're going to do dandelion root next. And dandelion root is primarily in here for the kidney support and kidney tonic. So the dandelion leaf and root are both used from the same plant. And I actually am going to add dandelion leaf later. But dandelion root is a kidney tonic. It also stimulates digestive function. It is a bitter. And it's really excellent for promoting fluid flow through the body. So I am going to include the root here, but in the next stage I'm going to include the leaf because it's a more strong diuretic and kidney restorative and helps with fluid balance in the body. So I added 2 ounces of dandelion root. The next one I'm going to do is red root. This one's really odd looking. They don't cut it very small, but it's actually a plant that grows natively up in the mountains here. Ceanothus, or snow bush, it's also called. And red root I'm putting in here because it has an effect on the lymphatic system. So it can decongest lymphatic stagnation, but it's also really useful for when there's any sort of stagnation in the uterine area or reproductive tract to detoxify the system. So I'm putting it in here because this customer has fluid retention, and the kidneys and the lymph are primarily involved in moving fluid through the body and back into the blood, or filtering it out of the blood. So that's why I'm putting red root in there.
Let's take a look at that.
Mm-hmm. So this is our portion that's going to be decocted right here.
Doesn't it look amazing? Isn't that amazing?
It's cool, right? And then I usually mix them.
Yes.
So you can see kind of the berries that are in there. I think I'm actually going to add a little bit of cinnamon because I'm realizing I don't really have anything for flavor in there. This is going to be a pretty strong tasting tea. It's beautiful.
Well, and the cinnamon, too, is
cinnamon
really good.
Has benefits for balancing blood sugar, definitely. And
I think I'm addicted to cinnamon.
Really?
But I want to ask you about this cinnamon because if you notice, this is not like the ground up cinnamon that you get in the grocery store.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about this because most people, did you know, do not even know how cinnamon is developed. They think it comes in a powder form just like you buy in a grocery store.
Exactly. I find people get a little confused. I'll tell them they should put cinnamon in a tea. I'll be like, it'll add some nice flavor. It's also good for blood sugar balance, good for digestion. And they're like, the powder? And they're like, that's kind of, and then they'd see this and they're like, what is this?
Right.
So this is the cut bark. So cinnamon is the bark of a tree, the cinnamon tree, very aromatic. And people are also familiar with those rolled cinnamon barks for throwing into mulling spice blends. But this is just the cut bark before it's powdered. So cinnamon that you normally see is just this form powdered.
Wow.
But in a tea, this form works way better. If you do a powder, it becomes all slippery and weird and just doesn't have a nice consistency. But this is a great way to include it. And I actually love cinnamon in tea because it adds a sweetness and a little bit of a spice. So,
and now this is what we get to take home and we get to boil.
Exactly.
And then that's why you're doing it separate, which is brilliant.
So then I'm just going to mix it here. And then we're going to put it in a bag, and then I'm going to do the other portion that she's going to add afterwards.
Exciting. Maybe I can be a little helper.
Maybe.
Would that be great?
That would be awesome.
Put on my glasses so I can actually see. And, folks can, you can go online and you can take a look at these, and you can also call Katya. So, tell folks how they can call you and talk with you about something that they may want for themselves. Yeah. Because this is just one particular, very specific thing for one of the folks that come here, or one of your clients, right?
Yeah. And
but there is not much you're not able to put together for people, because I've seen you do it.
Yeah, definitely. There's so many things that herbs can support. So with this woman, I actually did a sit-down consult with her.
Yeah.
She scheduled time with me, and we sat down for about half an hour, went through kind of her primary concerns, a little bit of the history. It was kind of an aha thing for her when I said about the kidneys, because she said she'd done a really high-protein diet not long ago, and that may have damaged her kidneys a bit or caused some stress on them. Yeah. And since then is when she's really noticed a lot more of the fluid retention. So she was like, oh, right. So that was kind of cool to make that connection. I hope I'm right. Who knows? But
that is true, though, for some people.
Yeah.
A very high-protein diet
Can be fairly
really
damaging.
super high for a lot of people have gone to the extreme.
Yeah, exactly. But the best ways to contact me are you can call us here at the store, 206-330-2171. You can call from anywhere, and we can schedule even a phone consult if you live elsewhere in the country. Yep. But email is also great, and it's info@urbanwellness.net, and that's HERBAN wellness.net. So info@urbanwellness.net. Our website is urbanwellness.net, and there's a lot of information there. So just remember that. Just urbanwellness.net. Go there. Just type in Urban Wellness, HERBAN, play on words of urban. Yep. Herban Wellness.
I get it, right?
Type that in, and then you can find all our contact information on there. We actually have a custom form you can fill out when you go to our products. There's on the left-hand side, there will be a link that you can say custom order or a custom tea or tincture, and it'll actually walk you through filling out what you're looking for and what's going on for you. And then it'll send it to me, and then we can start a conversation.
Yeah, and what Katya is going to do is also, we're going to actually take a tour here in a little bit where you actually can get to take this experience. And then I'm going to make a personal request, because what I always do is I like to get gifts. And so one of the things we're also going to do, so you could see how this actually works, you know, some of the questions that Katya will ask me when I say, you know, I have a friend that's really a nervous wreck. What can we do? or I've already said, we're already going to mix something up for a thyroid. So we're going to, you know, try this. So now that's one part of
that's
this.
One
now
part.
you're getting ready to do the second part.
And do you want to help measure? Is that what you were hoping to
I
be
don't
involved
know.
in?
I'm a little nervous about this. You know, I didn't even do my own when I came here. I'm like, no, I don't know. I don't want to do it. Let's watch you do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
You said you might want to be involved.
I'll do the ones that you do for me. But
Okay,
I would
perfect.
hate to mess this up for her
Okay,
client.
all right.
All right, here we go.
So here's the dandelion
She's
leaf
got everything
that I
all
was
written
talking
down like a
about.
little formula.
Yep, I do.
And by the way, when I came in and did this for my birthday, and by the way, I have another birthday coming up, Katya wrote up every combination of things that we were doing on paper so that we could see what they were.
Absolutely.
It's really important to know.
So this was dandelion leaf. I mentioned it earlier. Really good for the kidneys, a diuretic, so it moves fluid through the body and through the kidneys.
Wow.
This is calendula flower. It's such a
One of my
beautiful, bright flower. Most people just really love the color. It's very attractive. And it grows super well here in the Pacific Northwest. As you know, dandelion does too.
Yep.
Dandelion grows, quote unquote, like a weed.
We do that.
We like to eat
know
our
that.
weeds.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And calendula
And we
grows
let 'em
really
grow.
well here. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, because we're in the Pacific Northwest and we don't like to spray anything.
Yeah, well, you know, I wish everybody was on that board, but
Yeah.
some of us don't like to spray things.
That's right.
So calendula is great because you can go and pick the flower heads as they're growing, and then it will keep producing.
Wow.
I have calendula plants in my garden that will last 9 months out of the year blooming, which is really awesome. And then this is cleavers, another plant that grows abundantly here if you know it. It's actually a sticky plant, and it's also called bedstraw, so some of you might be familiar with it. It's a low-growing little matted plant, and it's also really good for the kidneys and the lymphatic system.
Nice.
So that's why it's going in here. It's very nourishing. It's a great spring tonic. Dandelion and cleavers are often put together in the spring to help detoxify the kidneys and move the lymph.
And how do people know how much to actually put, like if I were going to make tea, how is your client going to know, like, okay, how much of this do I put in and boil with it, and then how much of that?
Yeah, so I'm going to write out
intuitive?
instructions. Yeah, and usually with roots and barks and things like that, it's a tablespoon pure 2 cups of water, and then they simmer that down. And then it's a tablespoon per cup of water for this part.
Okay, so it's not
a nice,
very much at all.
No, but like a nice heaping tablespoon, you know?
Yeah.
Not talking just like a level tablespoon. You can
No.
see how fluffy this is, right?
Yeah, that's very fluffy. And that gets added after.
This is going to get added after. And I realized that I want to add one more, which is nettle leaf, because
Oh, nettle's really good for a lot of
I
things.
love nettle. We buy it in like giant, 10-pound bags because we use so much of it. And nettle also grows abundantly here in the Pacific Northwest. A lot of people know it as stinging nettle.
Exactly.
Because when it's fresh, it actually does have these little hairs with formic acid in them, and they do sting or tingle on your fingers, and they can form a rash. But once they dry and are cut or cooked, they don't have that property anymore. And it's super nutritious. I'm putting it in here because it's also a kidney tonic, really restorative and nourishing to the kidney and the whole urinary tract, but also really high in magnesium, calcium, iron, potassium, a lot of minerals that are
that's
really
great.
nourishing for the system. And I really feel like most people are deficient in minerals in our culture, partly because we're not getting enough plant foods and green foods, but partly because even when we are, our soils are more deficient, which is really unfortunate. But since these grow wild, a lot of times in forests and things, and a lot of it is wild cultivated, they have a lot more of that mineral content in them.
And by the way, what Katya is looking at is she's measuring everything. You can't see it from that end of it, but she's measuring everything exactly.
Yes. Oh yeah, I'm on a scale here, and I'm just measuring the weight of everything that I put in there. And then I'm just going to go ahead and toss this together. And in my mind, I'm kind of considering how this is going to taste.
Yeah.
That's always a consideration.
Yes, it is.
This is going to be very grassy and green. That's going to be very like earthy
Right.
and rooty. And I added some cinnamon to offset that. I'm trying to think if maybe I should add a little something else, like a little peppermint or something to this. It's usually my go-to, or sometimes I'll do lemon balm or lemon verbena. And I actually think maybe a little bit of lemon would go better with the cinnamon. So I think I'm going to do a little bit.
Oh, right, because ultimately you're going to be mixing it with
they're both going to go,
yeah.
so I got to consider that as well. Ginger would be another option if someone really loves ginger.
Cinnamon and peppermint do go.
They do. Too. I like them together, but I think I'm going to do lemon verbena.
Lemon is good.
Which is, smell this. It's one of my favorites. Fresh. It's like super bright. You didn't look all that impressed.
Well, I'm trying to look at it to see. How does that grow?
So
what does the plant
becomes
look like?
this big, tall bush.
Okay, that's it. That's what I remember.
It has all these leaves coming off it, and fresh. It just is this.
Yeah, because you can also grow
beautiful.
lemon mint.
Yes.
Right.
And lemon balm and lemongrass.
That's like really a weird plant to know that lemon and mint are coming together in this plant that's coming out of the ground.
I know. There's some very cool variations of mint out there.
Oh, this is so good.
Okay, so that's the lemon verbena, and then woo, I'm throwing things here.
We're getting excited now.
Apparently, I really.
Did you get a shot of this, Jess?
So yeah, let's take a look at this for those of you who can see on the website or look. It's a beautiful tea. The calendula certainly adds some dimension to it, and I like to think of that when I make my tea blends, because if it's just green, it doesn't look as appetizing. But if it's got some different textures and colors and things, I mean, that's kind of part of the experience, right?
You know, what's interesting about this is there are people that will get things mixed to put in their salads, right? Not just for tea, to get things mixed to put in their salads.
Yeah.
And you know, that works for people as well.
Yeah, I actually had a customer come in the other day and wanted to buy chlorella powder, which is that algae. And she's like, I can't stand it in my smoothies because it makes the whole smoothie smell like
it really does. I'm with her.
Yeah.
I'm so with her.
But she
on that.
sprinkles it on her salads or mixes it in a bit with her salad dressings and puts it on.
That would make sense to me.
And I'm like, oh, that's a great idea.
That is.
I love that.
The minute you put it in a smoothie, I don't care how much chocolate powder or any of that you put in.
Nothing else is
going to. That is it. That is like a big green science project.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, so let me just bag this up here, and then we'll have our finished product. And what I do at the end is I have these great little labels where I write out what the name of the tea is, and that's part of something we've talked about before.
Yes, it is.
Where the name can really be something we come up with co-creatively, or something that says something to that person who's taking it.
Now, I have some friends, and so we made some tea. I told Katya a bit about who these folks are, and these teas were made with their name, right?
Yep, exactly, and maybe like a quality about them or something.
And what was interesting is when we actually got together, we did this a couple different ways. We were actually making cream as well. You know, when we got together, people were just in awe on how much they related to what was for them. And that was really very, very fun. Now,
okay, so now I have my finished teas. These are gonna. This is the one that's simmered. This is the one that's gonna be added after. And I'm kind of estimating, because we decided when I was talking to my customer that we would do about a month's worth. So I'm assuming if she's drinking 3 cups of this a day, which is ideal, that this will make about a month's worth. And she's probably going to do it up in batches. So it sounds intimidating to simmer this for 20 minutes, then add this and steep it for 30 and do that 3 times a day. That's kind of ridiculous. But someone can do up 3 days worth, 5 days worth, big pot, and then put it in the fridge, strain it and put it in the fridge. And people ask me that all the time. They're like, oh, it's still good when you do that? And it's like, absolutely. And then you can either drink it cold or at room temperature or reheat it.
Well, you got me onto that, where you can infuse the tea, and you don't have to necessarily. Well, you don't even have to put it in the refrigerator.
Right. You can just leave it out.
Right. So what I do is I infuse it and I leave it out, and people come over and they're like, "What is that growing in there?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's delicious." And so some folks believe that you always have to have it hot.
Yeah.
No.
That's a misconception.
Misconception. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I want to talk to you. We're going to go take a short break. And when we come back, Katya is going to take us on a tour of the shop. And then we're going to come back and we're going to make that remedy. We're going to talk about, what is improving the thyroid mean? When you have something specific like that, what can you do about that? And then another conversation is, this time of year, people are so stressed out. What can we create to help people calm down?
Yes.
Let's take a short break, everyone. We'll be right back.
Artie Hoffman is the hottest psychic with the warmest heart and the host of the hit show Angels and Answers. A renowned psychic, medium, spiritual life coach, and an entertaining motivational speaker, Artie has helped over 15,000 people with his amazing intuitive gifts, his passion, and his humor. Call 877-ANGEL-02 to schedule a personal reading or to have your own psychic Artie party. That's 877-ANGEL-02. And visit artiehoffman.com and Angels and Answers on Facebook.
Tune in to Lucid Planet Radio with Dr. Kelly Neff. This hit show will illuminate your senses and empower you beyond your daily stressors and hardships. Renowned psychologist and author Dr. Kelly will captivate you with far-reaching topics and amazing guests as you wake to the greatest version of yourself. Learn to tap into your intuitions, think critically about our world, heal emotional and psychological wounds, and follow your passions to live your dreams. The Lucid Planet. Welcome home. Visit lucidplanetradio.com for more information. Has asthma or allergies got you singing the raspy blues? Allergy and Asthma Networks is the nation's premier nonprofit patient-centered network of doctors, caregivers, patients, and healthcare professionals who are dedicated to ending death and suffering due to asthma, allergies, and related conditions. Join President and CEO Tanya Winders each month on the Dr. Pat Show to learn more and visit allergyasthmanetwork.org today. Breathe better together with Allergy and Asthma Network.
Do you want the freedom to spend more time with your loved ones? Travel the world? Live spontaneously? Get ready, because the Chip Justice Show is here. Hosts Dr. Pat Basile and Chip Justice can help you build meaningful success while embracing life. Living a life you love is the end game in this new, inspirational, and empowering show. Positive changes for a life you'll love. Tune in every month on TransformationTalkRadio.com and visit PositiveChangeInstitute.co for more information.
Hi, I'm Tim Darter.
And I'm Steve Kramer.
Join us on Spirit Fire Radio. Discover how to add the mechanics of meditation to your day.
And watch yourself connect in a whole new way. Find the amazing moments in life's routines that often pass us by. Add to your awareness with Spirit Fire Radio.
Tune in each Wednesday at 9 a.m. for your weekly guide to practical mindfulness. And to learn more, visit www.spiritfireradio.com.
Holistic Medical Center is where you find it all. A healthy space with doctors who care, see, and listen to the whole you. Hi, this is Dr. Darvish. If you have not found an answer to your chronic symptoms, you will find answers here at Holistic Medical Center. Our doctors find the root cause of your symptoms and guide your body towards healing naturally. We transform lives from within. Visit drdarvish.com or call 425-451-0404.
Hey everybody, welcome back. Now this is really exciting because this is not planned. We absolutely have no idea what's going to show up right here. But I love to visit with Katya because I love to put things together, not just for the holiday season, but to give people experience. So the first thing that we're going to do, there were 3 things we talked about. We talked about what can we do for the thyroid, so we're going to do that. But also, how about kids? What can we put together for them that they can use for their family to celebrate the holidays or celebrate a birthday? So we're going to put that together as well. Now, for those of you that are watching this or listening, Katya also does classes. Now, you were saying you're going to add another class. Tell folks about the classes and how can they find out more about them?
Yeah, so definitely go to the website, herbanwellness.net, Herban wellness.net, and that has all our classes are listed on our classes and events link. And we were just talking about adding another class because I just taught homemade gifts, which is a class basically for this time of year on how to make scrubs and bath salts and clay masks and massage oils and lip balms, salves, like tons of things we cover in that class in 2 hours. I don't know quite how we get it done, but you walk away with a lot of recipes and information and you know where to get the ingredients and things like that. So I'm probably going to add one, I'm planning on adding one next Saturday because the last one sold out. There are people on the wait list. So anyway, there's a lot of opportunity there to learn more about how to make your own things. But we also, when people come in, we can advise you, we can give you recipes, we can point you to great books that have a lot of recipes in them, and then tell you how to get the ingredients together. A lot of it's really simple, especially making a salve or a lip balm. It can be just so straightforward.
Yeah, so, it's exciting.
Yeah.
All right, let's start out with the thyroid because we've talked about it a little bit. So what would somebody, now we're going to go ahead and get the castor oil. We're going to do that. So we're going to take that. what can somebody have in the form of a tea? What would you recommend that they drink?
Do you think that well, first of all, we'd have to evaluate whether someone's going to take a tea, and then we need to evaluate which herbs and plants are most supportive, and then I decide whether a tea...
If you can put honey or make the tea sweet, yes, this person will drink the tea.
So let me describe why I'm bringing that up, because when people come in here, I always, when they want a custom formula, I'm going to make something custom for them.
Yes.
It's always a choice between a tea and a tincture.
Okay.
And the tinctures are liquid extracts of herbs. So they come in these extracted bottles, giving a plug to Wise Woman Herbals apparently over here, where they've extracted the fresh or freshly dried herb into alcohol and water. And so it's a concentrate. And you take these, we pour them into little dropper bottles, which I don't have one on hand, but they're little dropper bottles, and you drop that into like water, juice, smoothie, or whatever. So,
and could you drop them into tea?
Yes.
Okay.
And a lot of times when someone's not going to do what we just did, boil up some tea, add leaves to it, drink it no matter what it tastes like.
I'm going to do it for her. Okay. I will do it for her while she's here.
Yeah, we could, but there's a couple of things that the reason I brought this up specifically when it comes to the thyroid is some of the most nourishing ingredients for the thyroid are the seaweeds. And those don't exactly come out very well in the tea, as you can imagine. So this is, for example, is kelp.
Okay.
These are kelp fronds. This would ideally be consumed as a food or powdered in a capsule or taken in a tincture form. One of my favorites, I don't even have in a bulk because no one's going to make a tea out of it. It's called bladderwrack. Have you heard of that one?
Yeah, no.
Yeah, so that's fucus or bladderwrack is very nourishing and supportive to the thyroid gland, partly because there's so many minerals in seaweed, including iodine.
A ton.
Yeah, including iodine. But there's other factors in kelp and bladderwrack that seem to be also supportive to thyroid function. And it's probably one of the interesting things about it is that the thyroid's very sensitive to radiation and different radiation exposure and electromagnetic exposure. And the seaweeds can help detoxify and help the body carry radiation out of the body, which is really cool. So anyway, these I'm not going to make a tea with this.
You're bringing this up because the person I'm talking about their house grew up next to, very rural part of New Jersey, but the house was next to a high tension wire.
Oh, yeah. I know. I think a lot of times people don't look at that.
We don't look at that. I mean, and it's kind of like
Yeah, around the Hanford nuclear site in Washington, a lot of people have a lot of cancers, but thyroid issues. And
well, I think we go for it, knowing that I will take care of it. But I'm glad we talked about seaweed because there's a lot of way to cook with seaweed.
Yes, adding one of my favorites that's easy to cook with is kombu. Yes. So kombu is these fronds that are very thick and easy to throw into a pot of beans or soup or rice, and you cook with it, and it becomes really soft. You can pull it out if you don't want it in there, but usually you just don't taste it at all. It adds minerals and salt and some flavor.
And you can pull it out, and it'll still have the same effect,
Yes, exactly. Yeah, so cooking with seaweed is great.
I love seaweed.
So there's a couple of herbs that are known to be supportive to the whole hypothalamus-pituitary-thyroid axis. So ashwagandha, which I forgot we're totally out of right now, so I'm gonna grab the powder.
Okay.
Ashwagandha root. We'll cut that one. Ashwagandha root powder and Schisandra berry.
This is like a super concentrate.
Yeah. So basically, these are the powdered herbs. Schisandra berry, which is a Chinese herb, and it's called the 5-flavor fruit. It's got sweet, salty, sour, pungent, and bitter all in one fruit. And as I explain this, we'll figure out a way to make it taste somewhat palatable.
Okay.
But Schisandra berry.
And remember, there's always agave.
Exactly. There's always honey or agave or whatever. Yeah. These are the whole berries. And then ashwagandha is an herb from India, and it's primarily used for all sorts of things, but including thyroid issues, adrenal issues, calming the nervous system. It's good for anxiety, especially that fight or flight response that causes anxiety when someone's just overly responsive and thinks that things are stressful all the time.
Yeah.
Ashwagandha just calms your nervous system and it calms that fight or flight response.
Oh, that's great.
So but they both nourish and support thyroid function. Schisandra also supports liver function, so this would be a good gentle detoxifier. So that's kind of what we're considering too, because with the thyroid gland, helping detoxify the gland itself and move stuff out is part of supporting it. There is an herb called Gotu kola, also from India. It's a green plant that they eat like as a salad green, and we dry it. Doesn't look nearly as green, but it's still very aromatic and fresh. And gotu kola is also supportive to thyroid function. It also helps with circulation and connective tissue repair and healing. And then other herbs, I would want to just do some gentle detoxifiers. So I really like burdock root for helping detoxify liver and digestion, and just it's called a blood purifier, so it helps move stuff out through the blood and the lymph.
Wow.
So that would be a really good one to include in a formula. And then some sort of lymphatic mover, again, I think would be a really beneficial thing. And I actually think I will use calendula flowers.
Okay,
again,
great.
because it's a nice anti-inflammatory and lymphatic detoxifier. So,
would you ever add something like a cardamom to something like this?
Yes.
Okay.
So basically, now that I'm kind of like, these are the herbs I'd like to work with.
Nice.
And the only one I don't have in cut form right now to make a tea is ashwagandha. I've been having a hard time finding organic ashwagandha root for some reason. It's
and we should mention that because these are the finest of herbs.
Yes.
These are
they're all organic or wild crafted.
Yep, highest quality you can get.
Definitely,
really.
absolutely. And sometimes we come into sourcing issues because
yes, you do.
An herb became really popular for some reason or another, and nobody has it on the market. So I'm waiting for it to come back in, but I think we'll still incorporate some of the powder.
Perfect.
Because as long as it's filtered correctly, it'll be totally fine.
Okay.
And I think it would be a nice one in there.
Beautiful.
So we got the ashwagandha, gotu kola, burdock, calendula, and schisandra, which I think is a beautiful blend.
Nice.
And I'm hesitant about putting seaweed in the blend. I never really do that. But if you're encouraging me to do that, we can. Or we could have that be a separate thing that she does.
I'm going to leave it up to you. We can do it separate.
I think it's better separate.
Okay.
I think that'll ruin her whole experience.
Okay, good.
She'll be like, why? Why did you make me do this? I'll be like, oops, sorry about that.
Well, I use a lot of seaweed in food.
Okay.
Yeah, almost every soup I make.
Yep.
I'm putting it in there.
Yep.
Not
And
quite sure why I do that, but I like to do it.
Had some intuition there. It's really good for you. So we can go ahead and put together a tea out of the recipe.
Let's do it.
And then we'll talk about maybe adding a kelp or bladderwrack supplement that she takes internally. It's powdered in capsule form. It's usually easier.
Okay, good.
So let me get my trusty notepad.
So let's see. Yes, because we have to write everything down.
We do. Absolutely.
And of course, this is going to come with instructions that I'm going to follow.
Of course. Yes.
Now, you did mention the tincture because for people that don't want to do this, they can also have this formula
in a tincture.
Exactly.
We have all the same
and
herbs
then you could take the tincture and you can put it in
shot
your
it
tea.
Juice or tea or smoothie, and then you don't have to like drink a tea that maybe you don't love the taste of. But yeah, you mentioned cardamom.
Would you make the tincture the same way?
Should we put some cardamom in there?
Yes. So would you make the tincture the same way, or how do you make the tincture?
Yeah.
Is it more involved?
No, I mean, it'd be very similar. I mean, we use a graduated cylinder to measure in milliliters instead of in weight, right? Mm-hmm. So we use like a graduated cylinder and we pour different proportions. So say we were making a 1 ounce bottle of tincture.
Would you use the same things that are here?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So you can do both?
Yep.
Can you do them at the same time?
Oh, yeah.
Let's do them at the same time. How fun is this?
Sometimes what people do is they, when they can do the tea, they do the tea. When they can't, they do the tincture.
Let's do it, because I love that solution.
Yeah, that's awesome. Do you think we should put, does she like cinnamon, a little cinnamon in there with the cardamom?
Yeah, she's Norwegian, so she loves that cardamom and stuff.
Cardamom and cinnamon, or cardamom and ginger are kind of the two I'm thinking would be nice. Does she tend to be more of a warm person or a cool person?
Cinnamon.
Okay.
I think a cinnamon, right?
She's more of a cinnamon person?
Yeah, I think it's a cinnamon.
Okay. All right, so let's start with the powder since that's a little atypical, but let's go ahead and put it in there anyway because I want it in there. And are we making, say, about a couple weeks supply? Have her try it and see how she does? Okay. So that will help me decide how much of everything.
She's going to be here a month.
Oh, she is?
Yep.
Do you want to make her a month?
Do it.
Okay. You're going to make it for her, so she's going to do it. That's awesome. All right, so I'm going to just... And a lot of how much I put in, I mentioned before, is a little bit based on my intuition around it. But I do also consider which herbs I want to be in the highest proportions.
You want to go in there? I'm letting Abby in the other room, I think.
Yes. She's considering.
No, I want to stay here.
She's like, no, I don't understand what's happening.
I want to stay here.
And then this is Schisandra berry, which is that other one that supports thyroid and adrenal function and liver. It's a really excellent balancing herb all the way around. It can help with mood.
I'm petting the dog.
She's like, oh, good. She's like,
Okay.
I'll just hide behind here. She's camera shy, you can tell.
Wow.
All right, that's the Schisandra berries, and these are so interesting to taste. Do you want to taste one?
Can you?
By any chance?
Yeah.
I love seeing people's reactions to this one, quite frankly. It's a little bit.
You're going to put it in a little spoon for me, aren't you?
Yep. So you just...
Oh, she's like, no, don't taste it. Don't taste it.
So 5 flavor fruits. See if you can kind of pick up the different flavors that are in there.
Oh, it's really good.
So sweet, salty, sour, pungent,
Well, I think
bitter.
the hit I got right away was like an anise.
Okay.
Isn't that interesting? I'm not sure what that is.
Everybody, their taste buds respond differently. Now we're doing some burdock root in here. Which burdock is the one I was saying is a nice detoxifier to the system.
Well, it's really good.
Yeah?
It's got a really good flavor, but I'm trying to figure out what the
I know, it's kind of complicated, isn't it?
It's very complicated.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a really interesting berry. It's one of my favorites to have people experience because it's just so unique. Just very different tastes. Okay, so we got Schisandra, we got burdock root.
Is there cherry in it?
Is there cherry?
Is it cherry? Some kind of cherry flavor?
Possibly. I think you should just go with whatever you taste.
So can people take this and like put it in their fruit?
Put it into fruit?
Yeah, like if you're having a fruit salad.
I suppose so, yeah.
I
don't think everybody
I love that.
responds as positively as you are, though.
Oh, I think it's really good.
Some
Well,
people,
now I'm crunching on it and I'm getting a bit of the
Yeah.
sour. It's like a little sour ball.
I was going to say, if you
Right,
bite
'cause-
into it, you get the
well, no,
sour.
I
and
didn't
then
want to
the
bite
bitter.
into it. I wanted to like taste it so I could get like, the flavor.
So that was cinnamon bark I just added. We talked about cinnamon earlier. This is the cut bark. And then we're going to add some cardamom.
Yeah, now you get the sour. You just bite into this little puppy right here. Now you get it. It's good though. I like it.
Yeah, some people walk away like loving the taste, and other people are like, never, don't do that to me ever again. Like they're just like,
Oh, now we got the real sour. Yeah, that's real sour. Yeah, there we go.
see, it's evolving. All right, so we added the cardamom and cinnamon, and this is the root part. This is the part that's going to be simmered. And then we're going to do the calendula and gotu-kola separately. And actually, because there's a powder in it, I'm going to put it in a plastic bag.
So this is the part that we're going to boil up.
Exactly. Indeed it is.
And so you bring it to a boil. How long do you boil it?
You're going to bring it to a boil, reduce it to a simmer, and then you're going to simmer it 20 to 30 minutes.
Perfect.
Because you want to really break up those Schisandra berries and get the full extraction of the burdock root and
Nice.
the ashwagandha. So I'm just going to go ahead and put that in here, and then we'll do the flowers and leaves.
When we think about this, Katya, we think about, it's actually not too long ago that this is what people lived on.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
That our families and our ancestors, and I go back only a few generations, right? And I think about my grandparents, and I think about my grandfather in particular, and even when he came here, what he did was he brought the ways of the old country with him. And so you always had an herb garden. You always had everything that was fresh, right? And, now there are some people that don't even know the origins of some of these. They only know if you go to the grocery store, you're going to get a little bottle or something, and then you're going to shake it in.
Yep. They
And
don't have any
hopefully
sense of where it came
there's
from.
no filler in it,
Exactly.
right? We don't have a filler in it, and hopefully that's the way that's going to go. But I now see a shift. I see people changing. I see them coming back and saying, wait a minute,
Did we
really
miss
need
something
to do
here?
this. Right.
Did we throw away something really valuable?
One of the misconceptions, and I was talking with Stephen Buhner the other day, and one of the misconceptions that we have is that if you are seeing a medical doctor oh no, you can't do this. And I think that's a misconception.
Totally.
You know, that the medicine I'm taking is not going to work. Now, I'm not saying to do this on your own.
No.
But 99% of the time, that is not true.
Yeah.
Your body can be made strong so that whatever you're taking can work faster and better.
Exactly. One of the most exciting classes I took at Bastyr when I got my training in herbal medicine was herb-drug interactions. And it wasn't, he was like, the misconception is you hear interaction and it's a negative interaction. There's actually a lot of positive interactions. So herbs can actually help the drug work better or vice versa. So it's actually pretty cool, that whole area of research. And I wish that bias weren't there in science, where it's like, oh, the herb's going to interfere or cause the drug to be less effective. Sometimes that's true, but sometimes it's not.
Well, sometimes it is. You're right, because sometimes some of these herbs will feed a bacteria.
Exactly.
And you have to know, you know exactly what you're doing. That's why you come here, or you call Katya, so that you can get some very specific. And you notice the question she asked. I don't know if we caught it all on tape, but she was asking some very specific questions about the thyroid. You know, so when we think about these things, we're really thinking about, okay, what exactly are you doing? How is it working?
Yeah, and one of the things I didn't do while we were chatting about it, but I normally would with someone, is ask what else they're taking. Because that is important, right? If someone's on like 10 other medications.
No, that's not it.
Yeah, I mean, but it's just good to ask that question, because a lot of times people are on medications and just totally forget to mention that, and that's important.
Let me ask you a different question about a different topic. So we're going to shift gears a little bit here. One of the things that comes up, Katya, and I know we talked about this, is this time of year people run out of steam. And we don't really think to an herbal remedy to help us. You know, we go to caffeine or we go to sugar or something to get us pumped up. Are there blends that you have or put together to help people with energy?
Absolutely. So a lot of the herbs that can help with energy in a more sustainable way are what we call adaptogens.
Yes.
So they help support adrenal function and healthy energy levels. One of my favorites is holy basil.
Okay.
So in a tea...
You might as well pull these out, because I'm going to get some of this to go.
So holy basil, what I love about holy basil is not only is it uplifting naturally without any caffeine, but also supports adrenal function, but it's very calming and soothing for the nervous system without being sedating at all. Like you'll just feel like you can handle things better. So holy basil is one of my favorites. We have a lot of other herbs that are really helpful too. I usually like to, eleuthero or Siberian ginseng is one that I often incorporate into formulas. We do have a couple tea blends. I'll just show you really quick.
I zoomed in on a couple of them, but I don't know that I got the right one.
Yeah, but just for this time of year, like the Balanced Energy has holy basil. It has a little bit of green tea. It has gotu kola, that herb that helps with circulation. And it's got ginger and lemon verbena. It's really nice tasting, and it's a great way to like start the day or have in the afternoon. So that's our Balanced Energy. And then this is our stress adaptation tea. So this one's healthy stress balance, energy levels. And this one has that eleuthero, the Siberian ginseng. It has some cinnamon. It has licorice root, which helps with adrenal and cortisol balance. And Devil's Club, which is a native plant that also supports blood sugar balance.
Okay, so people can call you, and this is already put together for them.
Yeah, and we also have tinctures. We have one called Energy and Metabolism. That's a blend of different adaptogen herbs that help with healthy energy levels.
Well, you know, the afternoon comes by this time of year pretty much, and people are like, oh boy, I need to take a nap. So they're looking for something a little bit different.
Yeah, the other thing is aromatherapy. Let me just kind of pan over here. Aromatherapy can be really helpful for energy or calming or whatever kind of you're looking for. And a lot of people don't understand how effective aromatherapy can be. Like for example, this is a blend called Energize, and it has lavender, rosemary, eucalyptus, and Siberian fir. And I should say it has spike lavender, not just any lavender, so it's a more uplifting lavender. And this blend, when you inhale it, like you could put a little bit on your palms, for example. This is just the tester, and rub your hands together and then inhale. And it gives you this, like you expand your lungs, your sinuses. It definitely has this uplifting, energizing property to it. So a lot of times if people are running around, shopping, having to take care of this and that, and they're feeling really depleted, this could be a really nice way to just kind of reset and focus. There's also herbs that are really calming if someone's really anxious. And we have a couple that come in roll-on forms. So they're a little bottle like this that has a roll-on, and you would put some on your wrists or on your temples, the base of the neck. And there's one called Calm Mind that's really lovely, and it's very relaxing and restorative, and it has lavender and Roman chamomile and things in it. And then one of my favorite roll-ons over here is Head Eve, and it's got lavender, peppermint, and Roman chamomile. And that peppermint gives you a lift, but the lavender and the Roman chamomile calm and soothe. So this one's also good for tension headaches, just stress, tension, and things like that. So aromatherapy is an excellent way if you don't want to consume something internally and you want to just carry it with you, but you have to use it. A lot of people get confused about aromatherapy, like, oh, I bought this bottle of essential oil, what do I do with it? I think we talked about that on the last show. But we also have things like a car diffuser, which you can put essential oils in and have it plugged into your car, and it'll disperse the scent into your car. So while you're running around in traffic and all that stuff, you can have some soothing oils going. So that's another option.
Hey, everybody. I can't believe that we have to, kind of wrap this up right now, but there's going to be more to come about this. This is just one part of what you can create for the holidays, but another part is, and I keep referring to it as, you can also create face masks, right? They're so totally fun. Yep. Gave them for gifts a couple of years ago. People love them, and it brings people together. Kathy, please let folks know how they can find out more about you, phone number, email. What's the best way for people to get a hold of you and say, hey, send me this today?
Yeah, awesome. Definitely. So urbanwellness.net is your best resource. It has all our contact information. So HERBAN wellness.net, Herban Wellness. And then our email is info@urbanwellness.net. And our phone number is 206-330-2171. You can also come visit us if you're locally in the area. We're downtown Kirkland, Washington, and it's 103 Lake Street South. So come on in and visit us, call us, email us, whatever is the best way for you. And also visit our website. We do have a lot of our products available online. So I would even be happy to walk through like what products to purchase and like send you information because sometimes it's a little overwhelming for this kind of stuff that includes a lot of raw material. But we're here to like be your guides and help customize and focus what you're looking for.
And just so you all know, while we were putting that, while Katya was putting together the specialty earlier in the show, the actual customer came in for it. And so it's really good to have something here that we were actually putting together. And just to see, how grateful people are, that something like this exists for them. For more information about us, you can go to the Dr. Pat Show, or you can go to Transformation Talk Radio. And I'm hoping that we'll be able to do a regular segment like this, short segments, and create some very fun things, educational, informational, and healing. Thank you. See you next time.
Lights go out and I can't be saved. Times that I try.